So Wayne, thank you so much for coming in, doing this obviously with us. I know your wife has already teed you up for what the look was going to be for the podcast setup. So I appreciate it, because not everyone feels totally comfortable under camera. So thank you, first of all. How did you find things? And kind of the initial question I always like to ask people is, what was the kind of key reason you decided to go through the stress of moving house?
For us, it was a location move. So we were out this way in Warfield, and we simply, it was too much pulling us back to Windsor, which is where we lived originally. So it was sort of I wouldn't say it was forced upon us, but yeah, we kind of did need to move our sort of lives back that way, even though it's not a million miles away on paper. It's proved to be a lot easier now with a 5-minute walk to school rather than a 40-minute round trip, that sort of thing. So that was the main driver for us. But also, Windsor's a great place to live, and lots and lots of pubs and breweries, free breweries now.
It's a nice part of the world for sure.
Yeah.
And in terms of the decision-making process before you decided to kind of pull the trigger, as it were, and put the house on the market, was there anything in particular that you were kind of nervous about, worried about, concerned about? Obviously, you know that moving house is going to be relatively stressful. It's well publicised, but was there anything in particular that you were a bit kind of on the fence and concerned about at all?
I think, we're pretty much experts at moving now. So I think in the last, since 2014, I think there's only been 2 years where I've not moved house.
Wow.
So pretty used to that now. So I think that side of it and the upheaval of it, that was something that we weren't sort of bothered by. I think it's more the last couple of moves we've had, with sort of larger, well-known sort of chain agents. It's just been very stressful. A lot of chasing, a lot of missed deadlines, a lot of us feeling like we're doing the work, sort of selling our own house. And that was the part we were like, God, we're going to have to deal with estate agents again. We're going to have to chase them up again. We're going to have to, do someone's job for them again. That was the bit that we just at the start we were like, we're going to hate this. It's not going to be an enjoyable couple of months.
Right. I did not know we were going straight down this direction, but I'm going to run with it, because it's always interesting to hear. And we know the industry is kind of perceived in the way as being very stressful. Communication's a big issue within the industry as well. You found that in those moves, did you?
Yeah, the amount of times you're leaving a message with a secretary for someone to call me back. Can they call me back now, please? And then 5 o'clock goes, and then the lines are closed.
Yeah.
And then that's on a Friday when you were supposed to exchange on that day, and then you hear nothing till the Monday, and then you're chasing and chasing and chasing. That is pretty common. I think certainly a lot of the. I think I've probably bought and sold about 4 properties over the last sort of 10, 15 years. That's pretty much been exclusively, apart from this time, obviously, that seems to be the norm, is that you're chasing people.
And that is frustrating, especially on the Friday, because it's the most important thing pretty much in your life at that moment, to have that information, to have that just understanding of what's going on. Otherwise, you're just left
even
uncertain.
If there's no news, I'm okay with hearing, we haven't exchanged today, there's been a problem, here's why, I'll call you Monday and I'll be on it, rather than, that's your weekend kind of gone, worrying about what's happened, has it fallen through, and then, you're straight on the phone Monday, oh, sorry, they're out on the viewing, I'll get them to call you back, before lunch, and then 12 o'clock rolls around, you're chasing again and again. That just seems to be like it was the norm.
That is desperately sad, that you're expecting to exchange on the Friday and then to not hear again until the Monday is, that's a bit of a disaster. Would you give any, other than maybe using Matt, and we're not here to kind of do that plug, but would you give anyone advice around dealing with estate agents? Let's say people that are outside of the Avocado area. What would you kind of say to try and not experience that? Is there anything that you've learnt along the way?
I would say perhaps go with your gut feel on the agents. Agents are very good at telling you what you want to hear, to the point where it's almost rehearsed. And again, the amount that I've seen over the last couple of years, I am hearing the same people, we're different. The amount of, they've sat down, we're different. We're different than the other ones. The reason I set up this agency, because I was with the big boy, and it's like, well, you're just as big as they are. The amount of times they'll say, we're different, we're going to do something different. And it's just not true. Purely because, yes, they're going to get a commission out of it, but fundamentally that's their job. It's a 9-to-5 job. So whether they call you back at 5 o'clock on a Friday or call you back at 8 o'clock on a Monday, it doesn't matter to them. And that's the feeling you sort of get. You don't get that investment.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that they're normally about 20 years old as well, you can tell that this is just their job.
Yeah, is it a little bit less care and attention when it is the job rather than the business, like it is with Matt here and myself. Did you feel that instantly with the channel of communication being available on WhatsApp and things like that throughout the weekend?
Yeah, that's just that, because you know, we were sending messages. I didn't even look at the times. We were sending messages back and forth. You know, there were times I'm sort of getting ready for bed, and you're sending one going, "Hey, we're all good for exchange. You know, tomorrow." I'm like, brilliant. I didn't ask him, but brilliant, because I assumed everything was fine.
Yeah, just put you obviously at ease and everything like that.
Yeah. So. You know, because originally, you know, we didn't list with Avocado straight away. We went with you know, one of the unnamed larger,
almost
you know, larger agencies, and that was because you know, my gut feel, I think you were the first ones that came and did evaluation for us, and apologies if I'm sort of going off topic, and my gut feel when Laura got home, I was like, I really like Matt, I kind of want to go with him, and she was like, okay, well, maybe we should, you know, at least have the appointment with the other guys that we've got coming tomorrow. And they then proceeded to tell me everything that I wanted to hear, but I was too blinkered to realise, you know, because they start, one, their commission was lower, and two, they're telling me my property is worth quite a bit more than Matt was. So in my head, I'm doing those calculations to go, even if there's a 50% chance what he's telling me is not right, that's still a lot of money that would be in my pocket. And so all the things about having this Rolodex of people that are going to be in here viewing tomorrow, that wasn't true, and we found out quite quickly that wasn't true. The price was wrong. You know, they again told me what I wanted to hear, and even I would have, if I'd have sat down and been clear about it with myself, I would have thought that is wrong. But what if it isn't? What if it is right? That's a lot of money. And it was quite clear to us straight away that, you know, we were lied to about a number of things, about them having, you know, people who would literally buy our house tomorrow. They're ready. They've got this, you know, showing me this big deck of contacts. You know, we'll have 10 viewings, you know, within the week, and that turned out to be 2 viewings. And you know, the beauty of the Ring doorbell camera picking up conversations and things, we found out quite quickly those were not real viewings. Those were either people from the office or their friends or whatever. They were having a bit of small talk outside our house whilst we were, you know, having a walk around the block because we thought someone was coming to view our house. So of course, quite quickly we realised that, and then that's when we sort of pivoted back and, you know what, I should have gone with my gut on this. You know, Matt was honest about the price, and we were pretty much there where you said it would be. You said it's going to sell for, you know, roughly this, and you were right. You were right about how long it was going to take to sell the house as well, and you were right about you being different and the communication being different. So you're the only estate agent, I feel bad calling you that because you're not, who actually, when you said, we're different, you were. And I did feel that from sort of day one, but like I said, we went a different way, you know, purely for financial reasons, which luckily in the end, it, you know, probably only cost us a couple of £100, you know, on photos and things like that, and probably cost us, you know, maybe a month in the selling process. So luckily for us, it was a mistake that we were able to sort of pull back from, but yeah, the communication. So to go back to the question you asked, the communication side was brilliant. I didn't have to chase at all.
It's so common though, exactly what you've just said there. I've had multiple clients in here now sit in exactly that same chair, unprompted, and say that, which is they've had the valuations, they've been given this kind of sales pitch and almost know in the back of their mind that it's not real, but the money calculation is so difficult to take the risk.
Yeah, I was like, I don't believe you, but there's 30,000 reasons why I should probably give you a try. And if I'm wrong, at least I can go back to Matt and say, sorry, I was wrong. That's what we did. I think I sent you a message, said, look, sorry, I should have gone with you at the start.
And the thing is, as well, obviously, with us, obviously, you got one point of contact. And we know absolutely every single conversation has been had. Where you're not obviously calling an office where they got like 5 other different people getting messages. And also your circumstance with your move. Also, you had quite a unique situation where you had to move fairly quickly with your timescales to get also your kids into school. So, and we managed to make that work because I knew what the bar situation was and your situation, and we managed that accordingly. So
and you as well, you helped us by chasing all the solicitors. Yeah. You chased our solicitors. In fact, you recommended our solicitors who were very good. Yeah, and they were on it, and you were doing all that legwork whilst, Laura and I are at work, which is what people need to be doing, and you were just doing that for us in the day, and literally we were getting involved when we needed to get involved.
Yeah.
And that was the best bit. You did that middleman job. You did what estate agents are probably supposed to do.
Exactly.
You actually did it. It's the 4th property that I've sort of bought or sold in the last decade, and no one else has done that.
Yeah.
Or they've all promised to do that.
Yeah.
They've never done it. You guys did it.
I always think the role of an estate agent is probably incorrectly perceived for a lot of people, and including estate agents as well, because often we kind of feel that the job is sales and negotiation and, kind of working the buyer up financially. And yeah, there is a part of that, but the real reality is that most people are working, and our job is to do the work while you're at work, because you can't do that. You can't do all of the bits and bobs that need doing. And marketing, ultimately, it comes down to our job is to market the property as best we can, to try and then handle the inquiries, to make sure that the right people are coming to see it that fit the timescales in your case, to make sure that the buyer is not someone that's looking to move 3 months after you need to in this case, and then chalking a viewing up on the whiteboard, to just keep the quality right, and then to do the communication work and use the expertise while you're at work earning your living. That's the reason why the middleman estate agent is available and is a career and is an industry, is because of that. Otherwise there would be no agents. But I think sometimes it's kind of misunderstood. We don't sell houses because they're not our houses, they're not our products to sell. We are that bit in the middle where we are marketing, we are communication, and we are in control of the transaction. We're the only people in a house sale, including mortgage advisors, solicitors, buyers and sellers, that has got access to everyone.
Yeah.
That's the reason. And communication being the number one complaint for the last 20 years in agency is disappointing, because that's the one thing we have to do, really.
Yeah.
Will you be moving again anytime soon?
It'll probably be a couple of years at least.
Yep.
But yeah, we will, because we're renting at the moment, so we will obviously be buying again.
And how was that process in terms of trying to sort of tie in a rental and the sale? Because it's a bit of a challenge out there.
That was tricky. We in the end had to kind of go out on the limb and pay quite a substantial deposit without, I think we hadn't exchanged at that time.
Okay.
So obviously that was a big risk, because we were committing to somewhere for a year. But I was comfortable enough in what I was hearing from the guys that, this is just a matter of time, and I think we did get exchanged a few days later.
Yeah, it wasn't smooth sailing, but because of the land and registry issue, but we managed to get it through, which is great news.
Yeah, we got it over the line. So it was a stressful couple of weeks in between that, us committing that, right, we're going to be moving here, we've signed a lease, we've paid quite a substantial amount of money, and we're waiting for this exchange. So I think there was, certainly some pressure on our side to get it over the line. But once that was over the line, the pressure's off. Right, we're moving now. Yeah, everything was good.
Yeah.
But you kept us informed as well. No stressful days. Even when there was no news, you would just say, "Look, we're on it."
Yeah.
And that's all I want at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Is to know that you're on it. When I'm about to go to bed, it's like, fine, they're dealing with it. That's their job.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is the comms.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and it's great, obviously, from Matt's point of view, that's the big part of the reason why kind of Avocado was formed, if you like. It was formed with a view that we understand departments and the call centres and the answer phones is probably the biggest issue that estate agents have. And you mentioned, obviously, that some agents charge much less, and because they charge less and they've got this kind of low barrier to entry communication sort of channel with different people at different stages of it, it does cause that whole process for a seller and for a buyer to become really difficult. And I think hopefully there will be more of this type of setup. It is common in America, it's common in Australia. You have a real estate agent you work with, and you communicate on the mobile and WhatsApp and the way the rest of the world kind of communicates. So it's great to hear that was the big difference for you, because it's not everyone's experience out there. And the rental experience as well is interesting, because that's one of the scariest things, I'd imagine, especially with a family. It's different if you're kind of on your own. You can move back in with your parents for a couple of weeks, but when you're with a family, it's quite a risky sort of strategy. So well done that it worked out. Would there be any advice that you would give anyone out there outside of trusting your gut in terms of, I guess, the valuation? That's quite a key thing. But
we did the obvious. We got 3 people to come in and value it, and effectively we had 2 around about what where you guys were, and then another one that was sort of substantially higher. So you sort of think, okay, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle there, but then that's the tricky thing. But I would say, the more valuations the better. But if you're getting them from the sort of agents who are just going to basically stick your property on Rightmove, done, that's it, my job done. I might get a little bit of commission at the end, but I'm a salaried, a salaried, property executive. Are you going to get the same honest view? Because actually, now in retrospect, I know that Matt's income, his job, his livelihood is coming from him selling my house. So it's in his interest to sell my house. Yeah. If he sells it too low, he's taking money out of his own pocket. If he sells it too high, that money isn't getting into his pocket in the first place. Yeah. So it actually makes completely logical sense that the price he gave me is correct, because if he gets it wrong, he actually suffers. Whereas your bigger agents, so what if they come in at 20 grand too high and they have to convince you to drop it? There's nothing to lose from them. They're getting paid probably the same at the end anyway. And
how did you pick the valuations out of interest? Obviously you mentioned kind of the corporate or the one you went with initially, but then Matt's very different. How did you select the 3 that you had?
Bit of a simple way. So my wife and I both run a lot, and we run a lot around the local area. So we were basically just looking in the local area, what are the signs we're seeing? Okay. And we were seeing avocado signs. I think the house actually next to us, you guys I think sold it. I don't know if it was you, Matt, or one of your other partners. So we knew that you'd sold a house in our street, and then we also saw for sale signs and sold signs, within a half-mile radius. Yeah. So straight away, at least you can say when they come to value the property, they know the area, they can find your street, they're going to have a rough idea of the price before they get there. Mm-hmm. So that's the way we did it. We were like, right, whose signs are we seeing? And basically we just picked the top 3 signs that we're seeing in the area. So there is still value in sticking a sign up. Yeah. Because that's how had your sign not been up, I wouldn't have known you existed in the area. Yeah. You're not Googling property agents near me, we were using our eyes. Who has literally got a sold sign within half a mile of us, right? Yeah. So they're doing their jobs. So they know what they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's how we got to that point. So keep going with the signs.
We'll do.
I really want to see your Strava map of going up and down the roads just to try and see all the points.
Like I said, there's a lot of new builds, isn't there, in the area. So we were like, right, so these are recent new builds. They're within similar sort of age of our house, similar sort of builders, similar sort of specs, probably similar prices when they're originally sold. So chances are that if they've been sold and valued, that's going to be very similar to us. So the research is there in the fact that you're going to know what you're talking about, purely because if you've sold a house 2 streets over that's 2 years old, the same as ours, chances are you're gonna understand what that real value is, and that's probably what informs your pricing of it, rather than what we paid for it. Yeah, exactly. Because with all the incentives and things now they throw at you, almost the house, the price of a new house is a bit superfluous.
The last like 2.5 years, the market's kind of done this, that, the other. It's changed drastically. Very logical way to pick the agent. It's always interesting to hear.
And great, and it was really good as well to see what you did with the different way you advertise the house. It's not just sticking it on Rightmove. I'm not sure if our buyer came through Instagram or Rightmove, and maybe that's a good thing that I don't know. Yeah, and it could be one or the other.
I mean, I think they definitely made compliments on our videos and stuff like that, so they would have seen our videos out there. So I'm not sure if it came from Rightmove or social media, but it will all work out together.
It's a differentiator. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if you're measuring how many houses you're selling through that, but it was something different. And again, when you're looking at areas where they are building a lot of new builds and the houses now all tend to pretty much be the same, anything that you're doing that's a bit different that is going to sway people into a viewing or not, it really helps.
Definitely.
From a brand point of view, we actually track where buyers go into the database, so we kind of see where they're going, and we have about 45% of buyers come through Rightmove or Zoopla, so one of the portals effectively, and the rest either come through other little funny channels, but the vast majority, nearly 50%, do come from social channels basically. So it does show that, and like Matt says as well, there's a bit of connecting the dots. Sometimes people, they see the live on Instagram and then something pops in the Facebook group or an ad pops up and then they go on Rightmove and check it out. Wherever they inquire from, they always have seen the video.
It's all part of a journey.
Well, I think the Beat the Portals thing's quite good as well, because people are going to straight away think, oh, fear of missing out here, I can get in before other people, and that just helps, build something that may not necessarily need to be there, but it at least pushes people into
absolutely. It's very powerful what we do with that. So
purchases that I've made through little adverts that have popped up on Instagram. I want that.
I know. I'm a corporate of that as well,
especially if you're a runner, because I'm always getting hit with all sorts of different trail shoes or trail tops or whatever.
Exactly, because it obviously knows what you're looking at. But once you start looking at houses, that's all it's going to put in front of you. So again, if you're feeding that when other agents aren't, you've got that captive audience that will continue to grow, because that's
there's a lot of power in understanding.
Rightmove's a bit old tech, really, I suppose now, isn't it?
The algorithm and understanding the social channels and the way to work it makes a huge difference. And for agents in the UK, it's not something that most have taken up on. If you go to the US or Australia, they're all over it. It's a very big part of the market.
Well, I think realtors there have skin in the game as well, similar to your model. Like, it actually means something to them. They're not going to spend money on advertising if it's actually not getting anything, because it's money out of their pocket effectively. So I think that's the element that's the big one, is that knowing that actually this is your job, your livelihood, your success is based on you selling my house for a sensible price, not for cheap, not for too much, because it won't work. And that's the biggest thing. If people just be logical about that, have that thought in your head, well, of course you're going to do a better job than anyone else, because you've got so much more to gain.
And the community as well, because we're helping people move in the area typically where the agent lives and works. They've set their business up there. We're not a branch manager that's going to get moved 10 miles down the road to the other office at some point at the end of the year. This is where we are. We are part of the community. We shop in the same shops as obviously our clients. It's kids often go to the same schools. And it's a big part of what we're about is community. So, that's why we have to do it right, because if we do it wrong, we ruin our business, so we do it right because we care, because it is ours, and because we're part of the community as well, which is great.
And we also really appreciate, when you showed up the first time on the doorstep, of you not being there in a cheap suit like the rest of the agents, and an ill-fitting tie and white loafers. It's like, actually, this is a genuine person who's coming to sell my house.
Exactly.
He's not in there in a top man suit,
not hiding behind behind a suit.
And like I said, you were genuine from the start. My gut was to go with you. I didn't go with my gut. I got away with that. It cost me a couple of £100 and maybe a month, but luckily we went back to actually what was important about selling the house and those things, and the logic of it all, and the fact that it does make sense. Of course, you're going to do a better job. And you did exactly what you said you were going to do. You sold our house in the time that we pretty much said that's what we're aiming for, and you did it. I think within probably about a week, swing.
Yeah, it was
about aggressive.
A week. Yeah, we got a week. We got loads of interest. Managed to find a bar. Got also the price that we were looking at, and managed those timescales of getting from exchange to completion.
I think we got from offer to completion within sort of 3 months. Which, that's the target I gave you.
That's
and
really good.
You said it was aggressive. But you did it.
Managed to do it. So
got it done.
Yeah. So you did what you said, which is, I've never had that from an estate agent ever in my life.
There is a first.
Which is why I feel bad calling you guys estate agents. That's
because I've never really considered myself as an estate agent. I've always felt like I've always been a bit different anyways, being Canadian, but I've always kind of just been a genuine person out there. So
so I would say to anyone, give you guys a call, get you in, have a chat. If you feel it, you feel it. But like I said, you did what you said for us.
Appreciate it.
And then clearly it's working, because I keep seeing more and more signs going up for Avocado.
Keep the going. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No, it's great. Thanks for inviting me in.